Hi all, a warm welcome to all of you on this bootcamp eve. So I hope my screen is visible to all of you and I am audible to all of you. So let us wait for some time, some minutes, I guess some seconds, so that some people will join. Then we will start with our bootstrap. And this time we are going to have a project also. In the last class, we will do a project also based on the learnings what we have learned so far. So let us see how we are going to cover this thing. One second. So the class will be of 1 hour, and let me tell you one thing. We will have this class for 4 days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And all the 4 days we have separate attendance forms. Okay, so we will be sharing all the forms on daily basis, and the candidate who fill all the 4 days attendance form will get the participation certificate also. So I hope my voice is clear to all of you and the screen is also audible. Can someone please confirm? So this is the structure what we are going to follow. Okay. So I hope some people are here. Some are still coming. So let's wait for another 1 minute. Everything's perfect. Thanks, Ronak. Thanks. So let's start now with the bootstrap. So what is a bootstrap? Why the need of bootstrap is there? And what bootstrap actually do? Okay, so bootstrap is a front end framework. What is a front end? Is a front end the framework which the with the language with the help of which we design the front end things. Okay, so bootstrap is a front end framework and it contains some part of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and it is being prepared to make the life of developers easy. The main purpose of Bootstrap is to make the life of developers easy, and it contains, as I told you, it contains some part of, not entire, some part of HTML, some part of CSS, and some part of JavaScript. Even though they have their own preset set of libraries which are in between Bootstrap. So that is why it is being told that it is using some part of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, and as I told you, it is a front end framework. Fine. So there are so many front end frameworks. So if you see, there are so many front end frameworks, but the most popular or the most commonly used front end framework is Bootstrap. Okay, and you can find the use of Bootstrap in, I can say, most of the files, most of the websites you can find the use of Bootstrap. I can't say the 100% of the use, but even a small use is there. Okay, because Bootstrap is Bootstrap is nothing but a set of classes. Fine. So fine. So why Bootstrap is used? The main purpose of Bootstrap is to make websites responsive. Okay. So website responsive means earlier in 2015, or I can say before 2015, there were only two type of devices. Okay, the desktop, or I can say laptop, or the mobile devices. But what happened after some time, iPad, tablet, iMini, all come into existence, and also the mobile handsets come into of different dimensions. Now, what is happening? What is now? Okay, when there were only two type of devices, what was the logic? The logic is that one web page is for a desktop laptop device, and another one is for a mobile device. Okay. So what they did, they have a URL for, if suppose it is a Facebook, so they have facebook.com for desktop, and they have m.facebook.com for mobile. So based on that, they categorize that yes, this is for mobile and this is for, and the second one is for desktop or laptop. Now, what happened after some time? Okay, and one more thing, the database of both the link is common. They are using a common database. Only the front end framework is different. Fine. Now, what happened after some time? That tablets started coming, iPad started coming, okay, and also the horizontal and vertical screens are coming. So now the things are coming into a problem scenario, because for every device they cannot create a different site. So now what now from now considering that particular problem, the use of responsiveness starts increasing. So for this particular thing, Bootstrap come into existence and it is being used a lot. Fine. Now, Bootstrap, Bootstrap original name is Bootstrap. Actually, it is built by the Twitter engineers. The in-house Twitter engineers have built the Bootstrap. Okay, and internally they become so popular. Okay, so it becomes an open source, and it was a very good project at that time when they have built it. Okay, it is a very good project, and after some time they make it a open source project. Okay, and currently Twitter is not it at all. So the engineers who built Twitter, who built this Bootstrap, are Mark, Otto, and Jacob. So they both developed the Bootstrap. The name of the Bootstrap is, earlier the name what they have placed, it's the Twitter blueprint. Later on, it has been changed to Bootstrap. Now, what are the things in a Bootstrap and what all we get in a Bootstrap? Okay, so Bootstrap, as I've told you, Bootstrap is a combination. I can say, in a nutshell, Bootstrap is a combination of three things: grid, classes, and components. Fine. So Bootstrap is a combination of three things, which is called as a grid, classes, and components. And the and for any language, in order to learn that language, the best source is to learn is to from their official documentation what they have given. So this is a site which you see in front of me. Okay, so what I did. So this is the Bootstrap, get Bootstrap. Okay, this is the official documentation page of the Bootstrap, and here here we only need to visit this tab docs, and in this docs we need to have the entire thing what Bootstrap contains. So what are the things in a Bootstrap? It is being mentioned. These all things are being mentioned in this docs, which contains each and everything. So we will be covering the entire thing. And as I've told you, the best source for any language, if you want to learn it, will be the official documentation. Fine. And I can say it might be a little bit lengthy. The official documentation, it might be a little bit lengthy, but the main advantage of learning from their official documentation is it contains each and everything what we need to cover it. Okay. So now, what are the things in a Bootstrap and what all we get in a Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a combination of three things. Okay, the Bootstrap, the combination is grid, classes, and components. Now, grid. What is the grid system? So, grid. The grid system is used to make the web page responsive. The main purpose of the grid system is to make the web page responsive. Fine. And internally, and I can say internally, it is being managed by the grid system. Okay, grid system is used to make the web page responsive, and what Bootstrap make the site responsive is entirely managed by the grid system. So internally, grid system manages the web page responsiveness. That irrespective of the size of the screen, how the web page load on that screen, how it looks like, how it works on that particular dimension is entirely being managed internally by the grid system in a Bootstrap. So that is why grid system plays a very important role. Fine. Now the second thing is, okay, and one more thing. If you understand boot system, okay, if you understand Bootstrap grid system, okay, you can make any web page responsive. So that is again a very important thing, that if you understand the Bootstrap grid system, you can make any web page responsive. So the grid system, because Bootstrap is altogether making the web page responsive, fine, and responsiveness is being managed by the grid system. So if you know the Bootstrap grid system, you can make any web page responsive. So that is the main story behind this Bootstrap. Now classes. What are classes? Classes are used to style any element in HTML in a Bootstrap. Okay. So classes, what are classes? Classes, what you all know classes. Classes are used to target any HTML element. Okay. So Bootstrap used the most frequently, or I can say the most commonly used classes, and make a library kind of a thing. And we need to use just that class only to make the website responsive. So that is how it works like. So what we do in HTML CSS, we use so many classes that we use so many classes name, and what Bootstrap take out from that classes name, it has prepared a set of libraries of the most commonly used classes. And while using the Bootstrap, we just need to write the name of the class, and from the backend, it will get connected automatically. It will get connected automatically internal. Fine. So there are so many classes in Bootstrap library, so that in development we can save time. So as I told you in earlier on, the main purpose, the main logic of Bootstrap, the main logic of Bootstrap, the main logic of Bootstrap is to make the life of developer easy. And how we make the life of developers easy is by saving the time. Fine. And how we save the time? To write the less lines of code, and how these less lines of code will get implemented, because we have already a predefined set of libraries which we will be connecting. Fine. So that's it. That is how the entire thing will work. Hello sir, take अरे भाई attendance लेंगे आप, we will take attendance. Okay. In fact, you yourself have to give your attendance. I will tell you when. Okay. So please stay. Okay, so now the next thing is the component. So let us see component. See the components. Okay, now what is this component? The most commonly used component, the most commonly used component, where the component is the button. One second. See, the most commonly used component is the button. So this is a button. Fine. Bootstrap have created some components also of HTML and CSS. So as I told you in the start only, that Bootstrap uses some part of HTML and CSS. So here in components, this button, so Bootstrap have created some components of HTML and CSS. Fine. So they have created some kind of buttons with colors, and simple we need to copy the HTML code, and CSS is already there. Okay. So fine, if you see this button, okay, if you see this button with the type of button, okay, with the class of btn dash primary, the content is primary, the end tag, what it will result, the result will be a button with a blue color, with the border radius property, with the inbuilt border radius property, okay, and have the color button in this form. So simply we, if we copy this code and put it in our HTML, put it in our VS Code, it the button will result in this particular manner. We do not need to write any CSS, we do not need to write any inline CSS, internal CSS or external CSS, and even we do not need to link both. So even with this single line of code, the output will in this particular manner, where we have simple a button with the content as primary and the color of the button as blue. How it happens? Because if you see button type button, class button, so this two classes, btn and btn dash primary, manages the entire show. Okay, so that is how it works. Now one more thing. So button is only an example of component. Okay, so there are so many components like buttons, so which are, I can say, three components. So there are so many components: pagination, coordination, carousel, navs, tabs, scroll, spy forms, and many more. So these are, you can see, navbar, model, this group, drop down, collapse. All these are all these are the components, are the examples of components. Now, one very important thing, as I've told you in the earlier, the official documentation is always the best source to learn anything. Okay, the official, I can say it is a little bit lengthy, but it covers each and entire thing, even the smaller thing it covers. So even if you have learned complete Bootstrap, so let us assume that even if you have learned complete Bootstrap, you need you cannot remember, okay, you cannot remember the entire thing, because Bootstrap is also a very large kind of a thing, and it is not possible for a human being to keep in mind each and every small thing. So what is happening, so sometimes what we are doing, we will just picking the things from our mind, and sometimes what we are doing, we are just taking the reference, okay. Now what what do I mean by reference? Reference means what I told you just now. As we go to the Bootstrap official page. Okay, we go to the Bootstrap official page. There we have check buttons, and we copied this line and we paste it. So that is what I mean to say reference, because reference is something, I can say, you need to know where the exact thing is, and you have copy pasted and take that out. So that is how you can correlate both the things. Fine. Now, no. So the first thing is to understand what is a bootstrap, and then when you start working on it, you will do the copy paste things, and that is called as the taking the reference of small things or something. Okay, refer the official web page, which I've told you. Refer the official web page of Bootstrap, because this is the best place where you can learn this thing. Now, what will be the flow of Bootstrap? How we are going to manage the flow of the Bootstrap? So, the flow of the Bootstrap, what we will be covering in this entire week from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, we will see grid system, classes, components, and we have a project. So, let me tell you something about project also. So, there are two ways in which you can make projects. So, you can have a project. You can have a project with, I can say, a zero CSS. Okay, zero CSS means if you have written 10, 15 lines, 20 lines of code, okay, in CSS, even if you can call it as a zero CSS, because 10, 15 line of code is nothing for a CSS. Fine. So, what now in that scenario, what is happening if someone comes to you that, my dear friend, please prepare a web page for me. So he told you that I want this thing, this thing, this thing, but he didn't tell you that of which color, where to place it. So what you did, you have some preset kind of a thing, like you have a button. So if it he want a menu bar of blue, green color, so what do you just simply copy paste it. So the copy paste things, what happened is just simply creating a web page based on the design, based on the structure what is being created by the Bootstrap. Now, if you see the button text, so if you copy this thing, this anchor button, you see this anchor button got created. Okay, these are outline buttons got created. Okay, so if you have the sizes, the large button, the small button, so what you did, just copy paste it, the buttons got created. So what you did here, you just copied the preset things created by the Bootstrap. Fine. Now, the second scenario where you need to be go to the custom thing. Okay. Now, what is this what is this custom design? Custom design, in this custom design, you can only use a grid system. Okay, but rest of the thing you need to write it manually, like what we write in CSS. So that are the two ways in which you can have the CSS. So that are the two ways in which you can write or you can make the web page. Okay. Now, first one, as I told you, first one is very simple, where you are using the entire thing of Bootstrap, which includes the grid system, classes, and components. And the second thing is what you are only using the grid system. Why you are using on the grid system? Because in order to make the page responsive, you are using the grid system. Fine. And after the use of grid system, what you did, you just simply write 10, 15 lines of codes and your page is ready. Now, now that is all about the theoretical thing. So let us start the bootstrap now. So how so this all thing we have seen that if you want a button, we just copy it and our button is ready. And if I want this toggle button, so what I did, just copy it and enter it. Okay. Now the very important thing, how to establish a connection. Like in external CSS, we have a separate file for CSS, we have a separate file for HTML, and we have an interconnection that is a link tag which is linking both the files. Now, how in Bootstrap, how this thing is happening? So this thing is happening in Bootstrap through VS Code. How in VS Code? We need to install or we need to include the Bootstrap in our VS Code file. Now, There are two ways in which we can include the Bootstrap. Okay. So there are two ways in which we can include the Bootstrap. Fine. First one is the CDN. So what is CDN? CDN is nothing but a content delivery network. Content delivery network. Fine. Now, CDN, as I told you, CDN is nothing but a content delivery network, which is, I can say, it is actually a server. Okay, it is actually a server, and it directly comes from CDN server, and it loads very fast compared to normal server. So what is the output? It works very fast and attach with website very fast, and also loads very fast. Okay. So the advantage of CDN is the whole output will be very fast. So that is the beauty of CDN. That it works, it loads very fast, attach very fast, works very fast. So the output will be in a very fast manner. Now the second one is the download pattern, where we download the where we download, okay, and we include in our Bootstrap. Now what is happening? It sometimes it gets very slow because it comes from our server. Our server means from our machine, from our system. It is coming. So usually the CDN pattern is preferred because it it makes the responsiveness very fast. Now let us start. Okay, so how we need to include both the things. So here, if you see, so okay. Now one more thing I just want to tell you. JS deliver. So JS Deliver is also a free CDN for open source. So as I've told you, Bootstrap is a open source. So this JS Deliver is free CDN. So that is why Bootstrap is using this JS Deliver as their free CDN. Fine. Now, what you find there? So it provides free CDN to all the open source frameworks. And as I've told you, Bootstrap is also an open source framework. So it uses the open source framework from JS Deliver, which is provided to Bootstrap. So Bootstrap uses its CDN. You can see the web page. So the network is almost in entire space. That is how this thing works like. Now, Now, how to connect? Okay, so we have seen there are two ways in which we can include CDN. If we can include Bootstrap. First one is through the CDN server, and the second one is through the download pattern and attach. Now, how to get connect? Okay, so we have two files where we have one in CSS, where all the CSS is written in Bootstrap, and other one is a JavaScript where all the JavaScript is written in Bootstrap. Now, let's go to the official web page of Bootstrap. Okay, and quick start template which contains the CSS and JavaScript. In order to check that CSS and JavaScript are included, so if you see here, if you see the quick start, which is a create a new index.html file in your project. Okay, so what we did, just simply copy it and let us create a new folder, bs, simply copy paste index.html, and here what we did, we have a file here, so you can see, and let me copy it. Let me open it in a VS, or sorry, in a Chrome browser, so you can see. In adjustment is also a very big thing. Fine. So this is the thing what we have checked now. Now, one very important. Okay. So now what we do? Now what we do? We go to the Bootstrap official page and the quick start template what we have already been included. One second. Fine. Now what we do? Let us check that whether with the button. Okay. So what we did? So we have our, so now let's check. Okay, so what we did, we have what I did. Mm, One second. All these are the button tags. 1 minute, but why the color is not coming? One second. Okay. This is the file which we need to copy it. Here you see both the things are included. And here, mm, buttons, copy. Okay, so here you see what I did. Simply just copy paste. I only copy paste two things. Okay, I only copy paste two things. What first thing is simply the scatter files. I can say the scatter files here, so which include both Bootstrap, CSS, and JavaScript files. What I did, I just simply copy it, paste it, and the second thing what I did, I found the buttons here, and these buttons what I did, I just copy it and paste it. Okay. So what happened here with these two copy paste things? I have created almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 buttons instantly in less than a minute time. So two things I have told you. The main motto of Bootstrap is to make the life of developers easy. So you can see, just copy paste two things and we have our menu bar ready. So that is the greatness or the important or the necessity of Bootstrap. So why the Bootstrap is more preferred. And one more thing, if you see here, one more thing, if you see that with the very less use of code, okay, if someone has come to me and asked for some buttons, so what I just copy paste it, the buttons are ready. Now in the second scenario, okay, now in the second scenario, what is happening here? If someone comes with me and asking for buttons in a different pattern, so for this I need to write the HTML first, then I need CSS first. It will be, I can say, a 1 hour task, which with the help of Bootstrap completed in a single minute, in a less than a minute time. Now one more very important thing, what I just want to tell you is that Bootstrap is uh, the most commonly used classes we will be seeing here. And one more very important thing is that every website use some or a very small thing of Bootstrap that we have seen just now. Now let us switch to the next part where we need to use a download part. So what we did, so let me close it. Okay, not delete, and from here we have to download it. So 1 second. So here you can see we have a compiled CSS and JavaScript. Okay, and here we have the source file. So here we have the CDN with JS deliver. Okay, now if someone want this thing with by JS deliver, so it can just copy it and paste it. But what we do, the preferred one is download the compiled CSS and JS. So what downloaded it? So we have imported the entire thing here. Now, what we need to do, index.html is the main file, and in this, what we will be doing, and here we will be using a link tag. CSS we are using bootstrap dot grid dot min dot css is a bootstrap file, and again we will be using a link tag here in the js. From the js folder we will be using bootstrap dot bundle dot min dot js. Bootstrap dot bundle dot min dot js is what we're using. Now we need to check that we have included successfully or not. So simply just copy the buttons, copy it, and in the body part, paste it. And where is our folder? One second, one second. Oh, sorry. That is in a different path. Downloads. Hmm, one second. One minute. Let us see why it is not coming. So that is how we can check that this particular thing, what we have checked. Okay, one very important thing that attendance link has been shared. So I request you all to please fill the attendance sheet. Okay, and this thing is very important. So after Bootstrap, you can watch Tailwind season things. We can see about Tailwind also, but let us complete Bootstrap first because we have some schedules which is set for the month, so we will be following that only. And we can take your suggestion also for the Tailwind CSS. Okay, so I request you all to please fill the attendance form which is there in front of your screen. Please fill it. Okay, so this is the second way where we have downloaded the file. Now let me show you download method. In the download method, what we did, second contents, yes. So the compiled bootstrap, what the file what we have downloaded consists of the CSS folder, and a JavaScript folder. So these are the files, or these are the set of styles which are already there, which are already by default present there. Okay, which are already by default present there. Okay, which are already by default present there. But here, what we do not need to use all the files. We will be using a simple bootstrap.css file. What we have linked, bootstrap.css file. Okay, what we have linked. So this file contains of layout, content, component, and utilities. Now, what is this layout? Layout is nothing but a grid system. Okay, layout is nothing but it is a grid system. Content is a classes, components, and utilities also is a part of a grid system. Now, here, if you see bootstrap.rtl.css, RTL means right to left. So the countries which prefers to write from right to left side of the screen, they will be using this kind of a CSS file, which is bootstrap.rtl.css. Now, this particular file includes each and everything, so we have linked only this particular file. Now, same with the JS file. So we have used bootstrap.bundle.js, which includes all each and everything. So this is a Bootstrap source code, Bootstrap disks. So this is how this particular thing works. Okay. So after here, what we do? Okay, so we have checked both the way in which we can include the Bootstrap in our web page. Now, here, if you see, okay, so now I'm talking about the responsiveness. So you can see the responsiveness. What is happening here? So earlier there was only desktop or laptop. Then after what happened? Tablet came. So the tablet has a vertical and horizontal direction both and mobile phone. Now after see what is happening. Okay, with the help of media queries, you can have this thing in this particular fashion where you can use 100% of the width, 100% of the width, and 33% of the width. Fine. Now you can see the another example where we have a laptop or a desktop, tablet, a mobile phone, again a laptop, and a smartwatch. So this particular, because of the need of these particular things, the responsiveness kind of a thing is in a demand, and from here the bootstrap come into picture. Okay, so we comes to an end of the session today. Tomorrow we will start with the bootstrap grid system, and tomorrow again we have a different attendance. So my dear friends, I request you all to please be here at 4 p.m. and fill all the 4 days attendance. So thank you, thanks for the patience. See you.